Getting your child vaccinated against flu this winter could stop them becoming seriously ill and stop flu spreading to family or friends. There's no needle, just a squirt up the nose. If your child is aged 2 to 3, in primary school or secondary years 7 to 9, make sure you take up the offer made by your GP practice or school vaccination team. Protect your child from flu. Get vaccinated, get protected. Go to nhs.uk to find out more.
This is our People podcast, telling the stories behind South Tyneside and Sunderland NHS Foundation Trust.
Hello and welcome to Our People podcast. I'm Harry Newhouse, and on today's episode we'll be talking to the Northern Neonatal Network Care Coordinator team, who are based here at the Trust. Neonatal care is the type of care a baby born premature or sick receives in a neonatal unit, and with me to talk about this is Claire Campbell. Welcome to the podcast, Claire.
Hi, thanks Harry.
Claire, you were the first care coordinator in the UK. Please could you tell us a bit about your background and how you managed to get to your role?
Yeah, so my background is in neonatal nursing. I started off in 1985 as a general nurse and then did midwifery after that. Then came into neonates and I've been here ever since. So I worked clinically at the RVI for many years before coming into this role last March.
What does a care coordinator role entail?
So the care coordinator role is, I'm one of three, so there's me, Sue Thompson and Ailey Hodgson. Sue has a background like myself in neonatal nursing and Ailey is an occupational therapist. So the three of us actually support the 10 units within the Northern Network, and our role evolved from the Neonatal Critical Care Review that was done in 2019, and it highlighted the need to improve the family experience for families that had a neonatal journey. So our role encompasses supporting the whole of the 10 units in the network. We've split that between the three of us, so I have 4, Ailey has 3 and Sue has 3. We look at how we can improve things for families. We're looking at accommodation, resources. We have projects such as the Bliss Baby Charter accreditation scheme, which looks at standards of care that should be deployed within neonates. UNICEF BFI, which is baby friendly initiative for breastfeeding, and just generally reducing inequalities throughout the network. Also, I have quite an unusual hybrid role, I suppose. I've got a different perspective in that my daughter had preterm babies last year that were delivered at the RVI and cared for at Sunderland neonatal unit, and she just had the most amazing care there. Honestly, I can't thank everybody enough. It was absolutely fantastic. They were there for about 6 weeks. The babies were tiny and really, really well cared for by the whole team, and then were actually moved nearer home to Northumbria and continue to have fantastic care there as well. It actually makes my job easier because I can see it from the other side. I can see it from the grandmother's perspective. So it's actually helped me quite a lot in this role.
What is the Northern Neonatal Network?
So the Northern Neonatal Network comprises of 10 neonatal units which go from Northumbria at Cramlington down to Whitehaven and Carlisle. Each have a neonatal unit. Some of them are, there's 3 level 3 units, which is intensive care, and the others are all level 1, which are special care units.
And how many managed clinical networks for neonatal care are there in the UK?
So there are 10 neonatal networks in the UK, 1 in Northern Ireland, 1 in Wales and 1 in Scotland, so 13 altogether. Your
team was the first care coordinator team in post nationally. Why was there a need to create a care coordinator team?
So this care coordinator team that is hosted at South Tyneside and Sunderland Trust was a direct result of the recommendations from the National Neonatal Critical Care Review, looking at the need to improve and enhance the experience for families. So we were very lucky that we were the first team in post. Our manager, Martin Boyd, was instrumental in creating this role that came about, I think, from 1 or 2 lines in the Critical Care Review, suggesting that there should be a role that involved coordinating making a better experience for families and looking at accommodation and everything else. So I was the first one in post in March, and then Sue soon after me, and then Ailey after that.
Does the team keep growing?
Yeah, actually. So it started off with about 4 people, I think, and now we're a much wider team. So because of funding and government recommendations, we now have a much larger team. So we have some allied health professionals now that have just come into post this year. So we have a lead occupational therapist, a physiotherapist, a speech and language therapist, a psychologist and dietitian that work alongside us as well. We have a lead nurse, and we have a data manager, and we have an admin, as well as a lead consultant as well. So the team's growing all the time.
Are there now other care coordinator teams in the UK?
Yeah, so each of the networks within the UK have care coordinators. Some of them slightly vary in structure, that they have a lead care coordinator. The 3 of us are all the same grade, so we don't have a lead, so we actually share our workload out evenly between us. So I think there's about 32 altogether. So there's a national neonatal care coordinator group actually that I put together when I came into my role. So I'm the current chair of that at the moment. So we get together once a month and we kind of share best practices and discuss how things are going, because this is such a new role that nobody had been in it before. So it's not like you can just kind of step into somebody's shoes and continue. So it's kind of evolved, and we've helped each other. We have peer support sessions, and it's been really good.
Could you explain some of the work you have done today?
Yeah, so actually we've put a report together. So we've been in post about 18 months, a bit longer now, and we put together our annual report, and actually we're quite astounded at how much work we'd actually done. So we have looked at parent accommodation and resources. Sue has put together or recreated the app we have. So it's called Nornet, and it's an app for parents to use and for staff to look at what provision there is in each of the neonatal units throughout the network. Also, it's a great resource for families because there's a lot of movement around. Babies are transferred in and out of the units throughout the network. I think we have probably one of the highest rates of transfer in the whole of the country. When babies get better, they go back and are repatriated home. So this app is fantastic for families to look at, so they can look at car parking and provisions and access and all of that kind of thing. So that's one of our work streams. The other thing is that we're looking at perinatal mental health. So we're looking at improving mental health resources within the network. We've got some bespoke training that we've put together with a lovely lady called Lainey Fraser, who's a psychologist, and working with our parent advisory group, which we also set up recently. We ask them what they would have liked when they'd had their experience. So they're all mums at the moment. We're trying to diversify the group actually, but they have all had an experience in a neonatal unit. We asked them what they would have liked in terms of having support for mental health, and they said basically that the bedside nurse was the greatest support that they had at the time. So we've developed this training to look at indicators and triggers for parents going through the neonatal experience, and how as staff members we can actually support them through that. One of the other things we're doing is the Bliss Baby Charter accreditation. So the Baby Charter was set about years ago, looking at standards in neonatal care, and all of the units need to be at a certain level to reduce inconsistency, and so we're working towards Baby Charter accreditation and BFI, UNICEF accreditation as well. So 1 unit out of the 10 in the network has actually achieved stage 3 accreditation for BFI, and all of the others are at level 1. So we're kind of working on that all together as well. We've got the parent advisory group that I mentioned, and we are looking for more parents. We're trying to get a wider representation. So we're looking at some of the smaller, less represented communities, and we would like some dads involved there as well. So we like to think that we'll do everything in co-production with parents. So we'll listen to their voice, and one of the mums recently actually said that the care coordinators are the people that actually get the parents' voice heard.
Certainly sounds like you've had a busy 18 months. How does the team ensure babies and families in the northeast of England and North Cumbria receive the highest possible quality of care?
So we have some national metrics that we have to adhere to. So some of those things were the Bliss Baby Charter, where there's standards that must be adhered to, BFI, UNICEF. So we are working together so that, again, listen to the parent voice and parent experience so that we actually make things better for parents. So we are constantly seeking feedback all the time.
How does the team help share ideas and support professionals around the UK?
So we have, in this role, we go out to the units, so we go out to all of our units, so we're visible. We actually talk to staff and talk to families when we're out there. We share our work projects with them, we work closely with them. But once a month, another initiative that we set up was we have a session that we call Care Coordinators Present. So we present a piece of work or we have a discussion around it. It's quite an interactive session for an hour and a half on Teams. And we'll showcase something that's going on in the area in one of the units and nationally work as well.
Does a patient get referred to your team through each of the trusts you work with?
So any family that has an experience or has a baby in a particular neonatal unit or any of the neonatal units in the network, they would then have that care coordinator that's supporting that unit to work with.
Will babies be cared for as close to home as possible?
Yes, that's ideally what would happen, although because there are only 3 intensive care level 3 units in the region, often families have to travel, sometimes from Cumbria, to the RVI, which is quite a long way, but because that specialist care's there, they have to do that. But we would always try and repatriate them back to their local units as soon as possible.
How can someone get in touch with your team or find out more information?
So we have a website. We have the Northern Neonatal Network website and we have the NorNet app. So all of our contact information is on there and through the local teams as well. So any of the staff working on the neonatal units would be able to point people in our direction.
Is the app just downloadable on
yes.
Apple and Android?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's called NorNet.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Our People podcast. Thank you very much, Claire, for taking the time out of your busy day and joining me today.
Thank you very much, Harry. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Our People podcast. We hope you enjoyed it and check out our other stories. Hit subscribe to keep up to date with the latest and catch up with what we've been up to on our Twitter, Facebook and Instagram pages. Just search for our name.